Chosen one, there are people who enter your life for a reason you cannot immediately understand. Some arrive suddenly, some stay quietly, and some seem to awaken something within you that had been sleeping for years. But what if Jay was never an accident? What if God allowed this person to cross your path because their presence is connected to a greater purpose unfolding in your life? You may have questioned the timing, the connection, the distance, or even the emotions you feel, but heaven sees what you cannot see. This is not about coincidence. This is about divine timing, divine purpose, and a connection God permitted for a reason. Chosen one, you have probably experienced moments when Jay came to your mind without warning. You could be going about your ordinary day, focused on something completely different, and suddenly their face, their name, their voice, or a memory involving them rises within you. You may have tried to dismiss it. You may have told yourself that it means nothing. You may have even convinced yourself that you should stop thinking about them altogether. Yet something about this connection refuses to disappear completely. And perhaps that is because there is something you are meant to learn through it. Not every person God places in your life is meant to remain forever in the way you imagine. Some people are assigned to seasons. Some are assigned to lessons. Some are assigned to awakenings. Some arrive to help you discover a part of yourself that you had forgotten. And sometimes, someone enters your life because God is using the connection to prepare both of you for something neither of you can yet see. That is why you cannot measure the significance of Jay merely by what has happened outwardly. You may be looking at the silence, the distance, the unanswered questions, or the circumstances that seem to make the connection impossible. But God does not work according to appearances. He works through timing, preparation, transformation, and purpose. What looks delayed to you may be perfectly timed in heaven. What looks confusing may be producing wisdom. What looks like separation may be creating maturity. Chosen one, there is a reason you met Jay when you did. Think about who you were before this person entered your life. Think about your mindset, your expectations, your emotional patterns, and the things you tolerated. Then think about who you have been becoming since the connection appeared. Maybe you started asking deeper questions. Maybe you began looking at yourself differently. Maybe you became more aware of your worth. Maybe you started praying more sincerely. Maybe you began releasing old attachments. Maybe you discovered that your heart was capable of feeling something you thought you had outgrown. That transformation matters. Sometimes God sends someone into your life not simply to give you something, but to reveal something. Jay may have revealed your capacity to love. Jay may have revealed your fears. Jay may have exposed wounds you thought were healed. Jay may have challenged your patience. Jay may have forced you to confront the difference between attachment and genuine love. And perhaps most importantly, Jay may have shown you that you cannot control the timing of what God is doing. You wanted answers immediately. God wanted growth first. You wanted certainty. God wanted faith. You wanted the entire picture. God gave you the next step, and that is where the journey becomes deeper. Chosen one. Because divine connections are not always comfortable connections. Sometimes the person God uses to change your life will challenge your expectations. They may not behave according to the script you created in your mind. They may have their own struggles, fears, responsibilities, and lessons to learn. You may look at Jay and wonder, why this person? But perhaps the better question is, what is God showing me through this person? That question changes everything. Because when you stop obsessing over what Jay is going to do and begin paying attention to what God is doing within you, you regain your peace. You stop trying to force doors open. You stop interpreting every silence as rejection. You stop treating every small interaction as a prophecy. You begin to understand that your purpose does not depend on another person's immediate response. Chosen one, if God truly placed someone in your path, you do not have to manipulate the outcome. You do not have to chase. You do not have to beg. You do not have to become someone you are not. You do not have to lose your dignity to prove the depth of your feelings. What is meant to unfold through God's timing will not require you to destroy yourself in the process. And this is something your spirit needs to hear today. You have spent enough time wondering whether Jay notices you, whether Jay thinks about you, whether Jay misses you, whether Jay understands the connection, or whether Jay feels what you feel. Those questions may naturally arise, but they cannot become the foundation of your peace. Your foundation must be God. Because people can change, feelings can change, circumstances can change, communication can change. But God's purpose for your life does not disappear because another person becomes silent. Perhaps Jay was placed in your life to help you recognize that distinction. You can love someone without worshiping the connection. You can care without chasing. You can hope without becoming consumed. You can believe without forcing. And you can surrender without giving up on what God may still be doing. Chosen one, there is a difference between surrender and resignation. Surrender says, God, I trust you with this. Resignation says, nothing good can happen. Surrender leaves room for divine possibilities. Resignation closes the door before God has finished writing the story. So do not confuse waiting with wasting time. You may be waiting, but you are not standing still. God can be developing your character while circumstances remain unchanged. God can be preparing your heart while Jay appears distant. God can be rearranging circumstances behind the scenes while you see absolutely no evidence of movement. There are seasons in which heaven seems silent because something deeper is being constructed. Roots grow in darkness. Seeds develop beneath the soil. Foundations are laid before buildings rise, and your life may be in one of those hidden seasons right now. Chosen one, perhaps Jay, has also been experiencing a process you cannot see. You may not know what they are thinking. You may not know what they are struggling with. You may not know what God is teaching them. You may only see the surface. That is why you should be careful about assuming you know the entire story. Do not turn uncertainty into fear. Do not turn silence into a negative prophecy. Do not turn distance into proof that everything was meaningless. Sometimes distance gives people room to become honest with themselves. Sometimes separation exposes what proximity allowed them to avoid. Sometimes time reveals what emotion concealed. And sometimes God allows two people to move apart temporarily because both need to grow independently before they can understand the significance of the connection. But remember this, chosen one. You are not called to pause your entire life while waiting for another person. Keep living, keep growing, keep building, keep becoming, keep walking toward the purpose God placed inside you. If Jay is part of that purpose, what God intends will meet you along the path. You do not have to abandon your path to find them. This is where many people become confused. They believe that if something is divinely connected, they must constantly pursue it. But divine alignment does not require obsession. What is truly aligned with your purpose will not require you to compromise your relationship with God, your self-respect, or your calling. Chosen one. Maybe Jay came into your life to awaken your heart after a long period of emotional numbness. Maybe you had stopped believing in meaningful connections. Maybe you had become guarded. Maybe you had convinced yourself that you did not need anyone. Then Jay appeared, and suddenly you felt something again. That experience itself can be significant, not necessarily because it guarantees a particular future with that person, but because it reminds you that your heart is still alive. You can still hope. You can still connect. You can still care. You can still experience tenderness. You can still believe that your life contains beautiful surprises. Perhaps Jay was the reminder you needed. And sometimes the person who awakens something in you is also part of the journey that teaches you how to carry that awakening responsibly. Because love without wisdom can become attachment. Hope without surrender can become obsession. Faith without discernment can become assumption. You need all three: love, wisdom, and discernment. Chosen one, ask God not merely to give you what you want, but to reveal what is true. That prayer requires courage, because sometimes the answer will confirm what your heart hopes for. And sometimes the answer will redirect you towards something greater. Either way, you win when you remain aligned with God. You do not lose when God closes a door. You do not lose when a person walks away. You do not lose when timing changes. You do not lose when something you imagined does not happen exactly as you expected. Because your life is bigger than one connection. Your calling is bigger than one relationship. Your destiny is bigger than one person's decision. And yet, if Jay truly has a role in the chapter God is writing, you will not have to force the chapter into existence. There will be alignment. There will be growth. There will be clarity. There will be mutuality. There will be circumstances that make sense in retrospect. And perhaps one day you will look back at this confusing season and understand why everything had to happen the way it did. Chosen one, there is another reason Jay may have appeared in your life. They may have been connected to a lesson about timing. You wanted everything to happen now. But God may have been saying, not yet. Not because the answer is necessarily no, but because you were not ready. Perhaps Jay was not ready either. Perhaps circumstances were not ready. Perhaps both of you needed to become stronger, wiser, healthier, and more spiritually grounded. A connection can be real and still require preparation. A feeling can be genuine and still not mean the timing is right. A person can matter and still not be available in the way you desire today. This is why patience is not weakness. Patience is spiritual strength. It teaches you how to trust without controlling. It teaches you how to love without possessing. It teaches you how to wait without losing yourself. And chosen one, you are learning that now. You are learning to release the need for immediate answers. You are learning to stop checking for signs every hour. You are learning to stop interpreting every coincidence as confirmation. You are learning to distinguish intuition from anxiety. You are learning to distinguish divine peace from emotional urgency. That distinction is powerful, because anxiety says, do something right now, or you will lose them. A peace says, what belongs in your life will not require panic. Anxiety says, you need to know everything. A faith says, I can take the next step without knowing everything. Anxiety says, control the outcome. A faith says, trust the one who sees the outcome. Chosen one, perhaps J, is teaching you faith in a way you never expected. And maybe that is one of the greatest reasons they were allowed into your life. Not simply to make you happy, not simply to give you romantic excitement, but to bring you into a deeper relationship with God. Some people enter your life and make you pray differently. Before, J, perhaps your prayers were mostly about circumstances. After, J, perhaps you started praying about your heart. You started asking for wisdom. You started asking for discernment. You started asking God to remove what was not meant for you. You started asking Him to strengthen you enough to accept whatever answer comes. That is spiritual growth. And sometimes the greatest gift hidden inside a confusing connection is not the person themselves. It is who you become while navigating what their presence awakened in you. Chosen one, do not overlook that transformation. You are becoming more aware. You are becoming more discerning. You are becoming more patient. You are learning boundaries. You are learning that love should not require self-abandonment. You are learning that your worth does not rise or fall according to someone's attention. And you are learning that God can use unexpected people to teach unforgettable lessons. Maybe J was the mirror. Maybe J was the catalyst. Maybe J was the messenger. Maybe J is part of a future you cannot yet see. You do not have to decide which one it is today. Let time reveal what your emotions cannot. Let actions speak louder than assumptions. Let consistency speak louder than isolated moments. Let character speak louder than chemistry, and above all, let God remain at the center. Chosen one, if J is meant to walk beside you, you should not have to become smaller to make room for them. The right connection will not demand that you betray yourself. You should be able to remain yourself. You should be able to grow. You should be able to speak honestly. You should be able to maintain your values. You should be able to pursue your purpose. You should be able to have peace. Because God's blessings do not require you to destroy the person He created you to be. And if this connection is teaching you anything, let it teach you that your identity comes first. You are God's creation before you are anyone's partner. You are a person with purpose before you are someone's chosen person. You have a calling before you have a relationship status. Never forget that. Chosen one, perhaps the greatest shift happening right now is that you are no longer asking, "Oh, do I make this happen?" You are beginning to ask, "God, if this is from you, show me how to walk through it correctly." That is maturity. That is surrender. That is wisdom. And from this place, you can finally breathe. You can stop forcing. You can stop chasing. You can stop trying to decode every little thing. You can let the connection breathe. You can let yourself breathe. Because if God placed J in your life, God knows exactly where J is. You do not have to remind God. You do not have to negotiate with God. You do not have to convince God that this person matters. God already knows the beginning, the middle, and the end. And perhaps the most beautiful part is that you do not need to know the end yet. You only need to trust Him with the next step. Chosen one, there may come a moment when the meaning of J becomes clearer, perhaps through a conversation, perhaps through an unexpected encounter, perhaps through a change in circumstances, perhaps through a realization within yourself. And when that moment comes, you may finally understand why the timing was so strange, why the connection was so powerful, and why you could never completely dismiss the feeling that there was something deeper happening. But until then, remain grounded. Do not build an entire future on imagination. Build your life on faith, character, wisdom, and purpose. Let God confirm what needs to be confirmed. Let reality reveal what needs to be revealed. Let time expose what is genuine. And let your heart remain open without becoming unguarded. Because chosen one, sometimes God places someone in your life, not so that you can immediately possess the blessing, but so that you can first become the person capable of stewarding it. And that may be exactly what is happening with J. Perhaps this season is preparing you for a love that requires maturity. Perhaps it is preparing J for the same. Perhaps both of you are being shaped separately before your paths can make sense together. Or perhaps the purpose of this connection is leading you somewhere neither of you expected. You do not need to fear either possibility, because your future is not dependent on your ability to predict it. Your future is in God's hands, so keep your heart soft, keep your standards strong, keep your faith steady, keep your eyes on your purpose. And when you think about J, do not immediately ask, when will they come closer? Ask instead, what is God developing in me through this? That question will take you deeper. It will move you away from obsession and toward understanding. It will move you away from fear and toward faith. It will move you away from trying to control the story and toward trusting the author. Chosen one, maybe one day you will understand that J was not placed in your life simply to change your relationship status. Maybe they were placed there to change your perspective, your heart, your standards, your faith, and your understanding of divine timing. And if that is true, then this season has already carried a blessing inside it. Even before the outcome is visible, even before the answers arrive, even before the next chapter opens. Because sometimes the miracle is not the person returning. Sometimes the miracle is the person you become while waiting for clarity. And you, chosen one, are becoming someone stronger than you were before. You are becoming someone who can love without losing yourself. Someone who can hope without becoming desperate. Someone who can wait without becoming stagnant. Someone who can trust God without needing every detail. And perhaps that is why Jay was allowed to cross your path in the first place. Chosen one, perhaps that is why Jay was allowed to cross your path in the first place. There was something inside this connection that was meant to stir you, stretch you, and bring you into a deeper understanding of yourself and your relationship with God. You may not have recognized it at the beginning. You may have thought it was simply another encounter, another person, another chapter that would eventually fade into the background of your life. But something about this person stayed with you. Something about the connection continued to echo in your thoughts, in your prayers, and in those quiet moments when you were alone with your own heart. And sometimes the things that stay with us are not there to torment us. Sometimes they are there because there is still something we have not understood. Chosen one, you are entering a season where understanding matters more than urgency. You are beginning to realize that you do not need to force an explanation for everything you experience. There are some things that become clear only after you have walked far enough away from the confusion to see the entire path. When you are standing in the middle of a storm, you cannot see the shape of the clouds. You only feel the rain. You only hear the thunder. You only wonder when the weather will change. But once the storm passes, you can look back and recognize that even the storm was moving somewhere. Your connection with Jay may be like that. Right now, you may only see fragments, a conversation here, a moment there, a period of silence, an unexpected reminder, a feeling that refuses to completely disappear, a strange sense that the story is not fully finished, but God sees the entire picture. And because you cannot see the entire picture, you must be careful not to make permanent conclusions based on temporary circumstances. Chosen one, there is something important you need to understand about divine timing. Divine timing does not always look like immediate fulfillment. Sometimes it looks like delay. Sometimes it looks like separation. Sometimes it looks like an unanswered prayer. Sometimes it looks like the exact opposite of what you asked God for. Yet later you may discover that what felt like rejection was actually protection. What felt like delay was preparation. What felt like silence was an invitation to listen more deeply. And what felt like an ending was actually the closing of one chapter before another could begin. That is why you cannot judge the entire story from one page. Jay may have entered your life at a moment when you were not ready to understand the significance of the encounter. Maybe you were carrying wounds from the past. Maybe you were still trying to understand yourself. Maybe you had not yet learned what healthy love should look like. Maybe you were still discovering your boundaries. Maybe your faith was not as strong as it is now. And perhaps that is why everything could not happen at once, because God was not only preparing circumstances, He was preparing you. Chosen one, preparation is often invisible. Nobody applauds preparation. Nobody sees the nights you spend questioning yourself. Nobody sees the prayers you whisper when you are exhausted. Nobody sees the internal battles you fight when you are trying not to return to old habits. Nobody sees the strength it takes to remain patient when your emotions want immediate answers. But God sees it. And every hidden moment of growth is building something inside you. You may feel like nothing is happening because you cannot point to an external result. But look closer. You are different. The way you think is different. The way you respond is different. The things you tolerate are different. The things you desire are different. Your relationship with your own worth is changing. And perhaps the person who once had the power to make you question yourself no longer has that same power. That is growth. Chosen one, maybe Jay, was never supposed to become the center of your life. Maybe Jay was supposed to become one of the mirrors through which you discovered the center of your life. And the center is God. That distinction is everything. Because when another person becomes the center, fear enters. You begin measuring your worth through their attention. You begin interpreting their silence. You begin waiting for their messages. You begin analyzing their behavior. You begin wondering what you did wrong. You begin asking what you could change about yourself. But when God remains the center, you can love someone while remaining whole. You can miss someone without losing yourself. You can care about someone without making them responsible for your happiness. You can desire a future with someone without demanding that God make it happen according to your schedule. That is freedom. And perhaps God is teaching you that freedom through Jay. Chosen one, there is a reason your heart was touched by this particular person. But the reason may be deeper than romance. Sometimes attraction is the doorway through which a much greater lesson enters. You might have been drawn to Jay because something about them reflected a quality you needed to discover in yourself. Maybe their confidence challenged you to become more confident. Maybe their vulnerability taught you to open your own heart. Maybe their distance taught you self-respect. Maybe their kindness reminded you that gentleness still exists. Maybe their flaws taught you that no human being can fulfill the role that only God can fulfill. Maybe their presence taught you what you want. Maybe their absence taught you what you will no longer accept. Every part of the experience can become wisdom if you allow God to teach you through it. Chosen one, do not waste the lesson by becoming obsessed with the outcome. That is one of the greatest traps. You can become so focused on whether J will return, whether J will speak, whether J will choose you, that you completely miss what God is trying to do within you right now. The lesson is happening today. Your growth is happening today. Your healing is happening today. Your purpose is happening today. Your life is happening today. Do not postpone your life until someone else makes a decision. Do not tell yourself that you will become happy when J comes closer. Do not tell yourself that your future begins when another person finally understands your value. Your future has already begun. You are already walking in it. Chosen one, perhaps one of the reasons God allowed this connection was because He wanted you to discover that you are capable of standing alone without becoming lonely. There is a difference. Being alone can be a season of strengthening. Loneliness can be a signal that your heart is asking for deeper connection. But neither condition means you are forgotten. Sometimes solitude is where God removes distractions. Sometimes solitude is where you hear your own thoughts clearly. Sometimes solitude is where you realize how much of your identity had become attached to someone else's presence. And when that attachment begins to loosen, something powerful happens. You begin returning to yourself. You remember your dreams. You remember your goals. You remember your creativity. You remember your gifts. You remember the things you wanted before this person entered your life. You remember that you existed before the connection, and you realize that you will continue to exist no matter what happens with it. That realization is not a rejection of love. It is the foundation for healthy love. Chosen one, God does not want you desperate for another person's presence. He wants you secure enough to receive love without making it your God. If J is meant to remain in your life, let that connection come from a place of wholeness, not fear, not desperation, not obsession, not manipulation, not emotional dependency, but wholeness. Because the healthiest connections are not two broken people demanding that each other become the solution. They are two people growing toward God, learning how to walk together without abandoning themselves. And perhaps J is learning that too. You cannot see their private process. You cannot see every conversation they have with themselves. You cannot see every fear they are confronting. You cannot see every lesson life is teaching them. So stop trying to carry their journey for them. You have enough work in your own heart. Pray for them if you feel led to pray. Wish them well. Keep your heart compassionate. But do not make their transformation your responsibility. God can reach J in ways you never could. God can speak to them in moments when you are nowhere near them. God can change their perspective without you saying a single word. God can create circumstances you could never arrange. And if something is truly meant to reconnect, it does not need your manipulation. Chosen one, this is where trust becomes practical. Trust means you stop trying to control every possible outcome. You stop constructing imaginary conversations. You stop rehearsing what you would say if they suddenly appeared. You stop searching for hidden meanings in every small detail. You stop treating every coincidence as a guaranteed message. You begin observing. You begin discerning. You begin living, and you let reality reveal itself. If J reaches out, respond with wisdom. If J does not, continue your journey. If circumstances change, adapt. If God opens a door, walk through it. If God closes a door, do not destroy yourself trying to reopen it. Chosen one, you are not called to chase what God has not asked you to chase. You are called to walk faithfully. There is a difference between pursuing purpose and pursuing people. Your purpose deserves your energy. Your growth deserves your attention. Your relationship with God deserves your heart. And when you put those things in order, relationships begin to find their proper place. Perhaps that is the hidden reason why J has been such a powerful presence in your mind. This connection may have exposed where your priorities were out of balance. Maybe you gave too much emotional power to someone whose role in your life was still unclear. Maybe you allowed uncertainty to consume your peace. Maybe you started neglecting yourself while trying to understand someone else. If so, do not condemn yourself. Learn from it. You are human. Your heart wanted certainty. Your emotions wanted reassurance. But now your spirit is learning something greater. You can survive uncertainty. You can remain peaceful without knowing. You can continue forward without having every answer. You can trust God while your circumstances remain unresolved. That is spiritual maturity. Chosen one, maybe the reason you have not received a clear answer about J is because God wants you to develop the ability to walk without one. There are seasons when God gives clear instructions, and there are seasons when He gives enough light for only the next step. You may want a map. He may give you a lamp. A map shows you the whole journey. A lamp shows you enough to keep moving. And sometimes that is intentional, because if you knew everything ahead of time, you might try to control everything. But when you only see the next step, you learn dependence. You learn faith. You learn trust. You learn patience. Chosen one, do not despise the season because it does not look dramatic. Some of the greatest changes happen quietly. One day you will realize that you no longer check your phone with the same anxiety. One day you will realize that the memory of Jay no longer controls your mood. One day you will realize that you can think about the person without feeling consumed. One day you will realize that you can hope without needing. And on that day, you will understand that God was doing something much deeper than you originally thought. He was freeing you to love from abundance rather than emptiness, freeing you to choose rather than cling, freeing you to discern rather than assume, freeing you to receive rather than chase. Chosen one, that freedom may eventually change the entire dynamic of your connection with Jay. Because when you stop chasing, you become able to see. When you stop forcing, you become able to discern. When you stop obsessing, you become able to listen. And when you stop demanding a particular outcome, you become able to recognize the outcome God is actually bringing. Perhaps Jay will come closer. Perhaps circumstances will align. Perhaps a conversation will finally happen. Perhaps something that was misunderstood will be clarified. Or perhaps you will discover that the purpose of the connection was different from what you initially imagined. Either way, you will be stronger because you allowed God to lead. Chosen one, there is no wasted season when you are willing to learn. Even heartbreak can become wisdom. Even disappointment can become discernment. Even waiting can become preparation. Even unanswered questions can deepen faith. The key is what you do with the experience. You can allow uncertainty to make you bitter, or you can allow it to make you wiser. You can allow disappointment to make you closed, or you can allow it to make you discerning. You can allow distance to make you desperate, or you can allow it to make you independent. You can allow love to become an obsession, or you can allow it to become a lesson in surrender. The choice is becoming yours. Chosen one, perhaps you have been asking God, why did you let me meet this person if it was going to become so complicated? And perhaps the answer is not something you can understand yet. Maybe the complication itself is part of the lesson, because easy connections do not always produce deep growth. Sometimes difficulty reveals character. Sometimes uncertainty reveals motives. Sometimes distance reveals priorities. Sometimes waiting reveals whether your desire is truly aligned with your values. And sometimes the most important question is not whether Jay belongs in your future, but whether you are becoming the person you are supposed to be regardless of who belongs there. That is the question that changes everything. Chosen one, imagine reaching the future and realizing that you did not waste these years waiting for someone. You used them becoming someone stronger, someone wiser, someone more peaceful, someone more discerning, someone who knows their worth, someone who can recognize healthy love, someone who can walk away from what diminishes them, someone who can receive what honors them. That is the future you should be building. And if Jay is part of it, then they will meet the stronger version of you. Not the version who was desperate for answers. Not the version who needed constant reassurance. Not the version who was afraid of losing them. But the version who knows that whatever happens, God remains faithful. Chosen one, this is also why you should not be afraid of the truth. If the connection is genuine, truth will not destroy it. Truth may refine it. Truth may challenge it. Truth may slow it down. But truth will not make something false become true. So ask God for truth. Ask Him to expose illusions. Ask Him to remove fantasy. Ask Him to show you the difference between what you feel and what is actually happening. Ask Him to protect you from creating a future around someone who has not chosen to build one with you. And ask Him to give you courage to accept the answer, whatever it may be. That is a powerful prayer, because sometimes faith means believing God can bring something to you, and sometimes faith means believing God can carry you if it never comes. Both require trust. Chosen one, never forget that your worth does not depend on whether Jay chooses you. You were valuable before you met them. You are valuable while the situation is uncertain. You will remain valuable regardless of what happens next. Another person's decision cannot redefine your identity. If they recognize your value, be grateful. If they do not, continue walking. If they return, let actions prove intentions. If they remain distant, let distance teach you something. But never hand someone the authority to decide whether you are worthy of love. That authority belongs nowhere but within the truth of who you are. Chosen one, perhaps Jay, was placed in your life because God wanted you to learn that love and self-respect can coexist. You do not have to choose between caring for someone and caring for yourself. You do not have to become cold to protect your heart. You simply need boundaries. A soft heart with strong boundaries is powerful. It can forgive without returning to unhealthy patterns. It can love without chasing. It can remember without reliving. It can hope without becoming dependent. It can release without hatred. And that may be the kind of heart God is developing in you. Chosen one, the story of Jay, may still have chapters you have not read, but you do not need to skip ahead. Let the story unfold in its proper time. Do not tear pages out because you dislike the current chapter. Do not write the ending yourself because the middle feels uncertain. Let God write. Let life reveal. Let people demonstrate who they are. And let yourself grow through every season. Because sometimes the person who enters your life by divine timing does not immediately bring clarity. Sometimes they bring questions. Those questions lead you deeper. They force you to seek wisdom. They force you to examine your heart. They force you to stop living on assumptions. They force you to develop discernment. And perhaps that is why this connection has remained significant. It is asking something of you. Not obsession, not pursuit, not fear. Growth. Chosen one. Maybe the greatest sign is not something Jay does. Maybe the greatest sign is what happens inside you. Are you becoming more peaceful, more patient, more honest, more grounded, more connected to God, more aware of your boundaries, more confident in your worth, more capable of accepting uncertainty? If the answer is yes, then something meaningful is already happening. Because your transformation is evidence that the season is producing fruit, and fruit takes time. You cannot rush it. You cannot pull a tree upward by its branches. You water, you nurture, you wait, you allow roots to deepen. Then, when the season is right, fruit appears. Your life may be in a root season, and perhaps Jay is connected to that season in ways you cannot yet comprehend. Chosen one, do not be ashamed of caring. Do not be ashamed that someone touched your heart. Do not be ashamed that you still think about them. Do not condemn yourself for having hope. Just do not allow hope to become a prison. Carry your feelings with wisdom. Bring them to God. Talk honestly to Him. Tell Him what you want. Tell Him what scares you. Tell Him what you do not understand. Then release the outcome. That is not giving up. That is giving God room. And when you give God room, you begin to notice things you could not notice while you were trying to control everything. You notice your own patterns. You notice the difference between genuine peace and temporary excitement. You notice whether someone brings consistency or confusion. You notice whether their presence encourages growth or constantly activates insecurity. You notice whether communication is mutual or one-sided. You notice whether your connection is grounded in reality or mostly imagination. These observations matter because divine purpose does not cancel discernment. Faith does not mean ignoring reality. Trusting God does not mean abandoning wisdom. Chosen one, if Jay is truly meant to remain in your life, you should be able to recognize the connection through reality, not merely through signs. Look for character. Look for consistency. Look for respect. Look for honesty. Look for willingness. Look for mutual effort. Look for peace. Do not build an entire future on dreams while ignoring present behavior. God can work through miracles, but He also works through wisdom, and wisdom will tell you to pay attention. Chosen one, there is a sacred balance between believing and observing. Believe that God can do the impossible. Observe what is actually happening. Believe that people can change. Observe whether they are changing. Believe that doors can open. Observe whether the door is actually opening. Believe that timing can shift. Observe whether circumstances are shifting. This balance will protect your heart. And perhaps it is exactly the balance you need as the story continues, because there may come a time when something changes. A message, a conversation, an encounter, an apology, an invitation, a realization, a new opportunity. And when that moment arrives, you need to be prepared to respond from wisdom, rather than from all the emotion you accumulated during the waiting. You do not want to meet a new chapter carrying every wound from the old one. You want to meet it healed enough to recognize what is truly being offered. Chosen one, perhaps that is why God is working on you now. Not because you are being punished, not because you are forgotten, but because you are being prepared. Preparation can feel lonely. Preparation can feel slow. Preparation can feel like nothing is happening, but beneath the surface, everything can be changing. And one day, you may understand why you had to become this version of yourself before the next chapter could begin. So keep walking, keep praying, keep growing, keep becoming. And when Jay crosses your mind, do not immediately let your emotions take control. Pause, breathe, pray. Then remember that the same God who allowed the connection to begin is capable of guiding you through everything that comes afterward. You do not need to fear the future. You do not need to force the present. You do not need to rewrite the past. You only need to remain faithful to the person God is shaping you to become. Chosen one, perhaps one day you will sit quietly and realize that the thing you once thought was the biggest mystery in your life was actually one of the greatest teachers. Jay may have taught you patience. Jay may have taught you boundaries. Jay may have taught you hope. Jay may have taught you surrender. Jay may have taught you self-respect. Jay may have taught you how to love without losing yourself, and perhaps in a way you never expected. Jay helped bring you closer to the person you were always meant to become. That is why you do not have to resent the uncertainty. Let it teach you. Let it deepen you. Let it refine you. Let it bring you closer to God, because chosen one, there are connections that enter your life and leave you exactly as they found you. And then there are connections that enter your life and make it impossible for you to remain the same. Perhaps Jay is one of those connections. Perhaps that is why the memory remains. Perhaps that is why the timing feels significant. Perhaps that is why your heart keeps returning to the question. But you do not need to answer the question today. You need to keep walking until the answer becomes undeniable. And while you walk, remember this: you are not waiting for your life to begin. Your life is already unfolding. Every morning is part of it. Every lesson is part of it. Every prayer is part of it. Every unexpected turn is part of it. Every moment of uncertainty is part of it. And somewhere within that unfolding, Jay may have a role that is still being revealed. So do not rush the revelation. Do not force the timing. Do not abandon your purpose. Do not surrender your peace. Keep your heart open, but keep your feet grounded. Keep your hope alive, but keep your discernment awake. Keep believing in God's ability to surprise you, but remain willing to accept whatever truth He reveals. Because the real blessing is not simply discovering whether Jay was placed in your life for a specific future. The real blessing is discovering why you were placed in this season at all. And perhaps, chosen one, the answer is beginning to unfold within you. Chosen one, perhaps the answer is beginning to unfold within you. Perhaps you are finally realizing that this journey was never only about Jay, it was also about you. It was about the person you were before the connection, the person you became during the uncertainty, and the person you are becoming now. God can use one encounter to begin a transformation that reaches far beyond the original circumstance. What started as a question about another person can become a revelation about your own purpose. Maybe you thought you were waiting for Jay, but in reality, you were being prepared for yourself. You were learning how to stand. You were learning how to trust. You were learning how to let go without becoming bitter. You were learning how to love without abandoning your identity. You were learning how to recognize the difference between desire and destiny. And perhaps most importantly, you were learning that God's plan does not become less powerful simply because you cannot see it. Chosen one, there will always be things you cannot explain. There will be moments when you wonder why certain people entered your life, why certain doors opened, and why others closed. There will be days when the meaning seems obvious and other days when everything feels uncertain again. That is part of being human. Faith does not mean that you never have questions. Faith means that questions do not have to destroy your peace. So if you still think about Jay, bring that thought to God. If you still care, bring that feeling to God. If you still hope, bring that hope to God. If you are afraid, bring that fear to God. Do not be ashamed of what you feel. Just do not allow your feelings to become your master. Your heart can speak, but wisdom must also speak. Your emotions can be real, but reality must still be respected. Your hope can be beautiful, but your peace must remain protected. Chosen one, if Jay truly has a place in your future, then that place will not need to be created through desperation. It will become clear through circumstances, choices, character, and mutual willingness. And if the connection is not meant to continue in the way you once imagined, God will still have something meaningful for you beyond it. Nothing is wasted when surrendered to God. Not the tears, not the waiting, not the questions, not the disappointment, not the growth, not even the moments when you felt completely lost. God can take all of it and transform it into wisdom. You may one day look back and realize that the uncertainty protected you from making decisions before you were ready. You may realize that the distance gave you time to heal. You may realize that the silence forced you to hear your own heart. You may realize that Jay was never meant to be the answer to every question, but rather the person whose presence caused you to start asking better questions. And those better questions changed your life. Chosen one, perhaps the most important question now is not, will Jay come back? Perhaps it is, will I continue becoming who God called me to be? That is the question you can answer today. You can choose growth today. You can choose peace today. You can choose prayer today. You can choose self-respect today. You can choose purpose today. You can choose to stop chasing what creates confusion and start walking toward what creates clarity. You can choose to trust that whatever belongs in your life will be able to meet you on the road God has placed you on. And if one day that road brings Jay back into your life, you will meet them differently because you will be different. You will not meet them from desperation. You will meet them from strength. You will not ask them to prove your worth. You will already know your worth. You will not expect them to heal everything. You will understand that healing is your responsibility. You will not demand certainty before taking every step. You will know how to move with wisdom. That is the kind of transformation that can turn an uncertain connection into a meaningful chapter. Chosen one, remember that God is not limited by distance. He is not limited by time. He is not limited by circumstances. If two people are meant to cross paths again, circumstances can change in ways neither person could have predicted. But you do not have to sit beside the door waiting for it to happen. Live your life, build your future, become stronger. Serve your purpose. Laugh again. Dream again. Make plans again. Do not put your entire existence on hold for a possibility. Let your life become so full of purpose that whether Jay appears tomorrow or years from now, you are still standing in the center of who you are. That is freedom. And that is what God may be teaching you through this season. Chosen one, perhaps Jay, was placed in your life by God, not by chance. But the purpose of that placement may be greater than the outcome you imagined. Maybe the connection was meant to awaken your heart. Maybe it was meant to teach you discernment. Maybe it was meant to prepare you for a future relationship. Maybe it was meant to redirect your life. Maybe it was meant to reveal your strength. You do not have to reduce divine purpose to one outcome. Let God define the meaning. And when the time comes, you will understand. Until then, remain faithful, remain grounded, remain open to truth. Do not chase signs. Do not manufacture confirmations. Do not allow fear to become prophecy. Instead, watch what life reveals. Watch what people do. Watch what grows. Watch what brings peace. Watch what produces good fruit. And trust that clarity will come. Chosen one, there is a beautiful kind of peace that arrives when you stop demanding that tomorrow explain today. You begin to enjoy the present. You begin to appreciate the people who are actually beside you. You begin to notice opportunities that you were too distracted to see before. You begin to understand that your life contains blessings beyond the one connection that captured your attention. And then something unexpected happens. You stop needing Jay to validate the story. You simply become grateful that the story happened. Grateful for what you learned. Grateful for what you discovered. Grateful for the growth. Grateful for the way your heart was awakened. Grateful for the way your faith deepened. And from that place of gratitude, you become capable of receiving whatever comes next. Maybe Jay will be part of that next chapter. Maybe the story will take a different direction. But either way, you will not be empty, because God has been filling the spaces you once thought another person had to fill. Chosen one, that is the real transformation. You are learning that you can love someone and still belong completely to yourself and to God. You are learning that you can hope without clinging. You are learning that you can wait without wasting your life. You are learning that you can release without becoming bitter. You are learning that you can accept uncertainty without losing faith. And those lessons will serve you far beyond this one connection. So if Jay was placed in your life by God, trust that God knows why. If Jay remains, let the relationship develop naturally. If Jay returns, let actions speak. If Jay reaches out, respond with wisdom. If Jay does not, continue forward with dignity. And if God eventually reveals that the purpose was different from what you imagined, do not call the season a failure. Call it preparation. Call it growth. Call it redirection. Call it a chapter that helped you become ready for something you could not yet see. Chosen one, you are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are not abandoned. Your story is still unfolding. The fact that you cannot see the next chapter does not mean there is no next chapter. The fact that the door is quiet does not mean God is absent. The fact that Jay is not standing where you expected them to stand does not mean your life has lost its direction. Keep moving. Keep trusting. Keep becoming. And when the right moment comes, you will not need to force yourself to understand it. You will recognize it. You will recognize the peace. You will recognize the alignment. You will recognize the growth. You will recognize the difference between something you had to chase and something that naturally met you where you were. And perhaps then you will finally understand why God allowed Jay to enter your life. Not simply to give you a person. Not simply to give you a feeling. But to give you a lesson, a mirror, a turning point, and perhaps a doorway into a deeper version of yourself. So, chosen one, release the pressure to know everything right now. Let God handle what you cannot handle. Let time reveal what you cannot see. Let people show you who they are. Let your heart heal. Let your purpose grow. Let your faith become stronger than your fear. And remember that whatever God has truly appointed for your life will never require you to destroy yourself to receive it. You can walk forward with hope. You can walk forward with peace. You can walk forward with your head held high. Because your story is bigger than Jay. Your destiny is bigger than one relationship. Your purpose is bigger than one unanswered question. And your future is still being written. So trust the author. Trust the timing. Trust the process. Trust what God is doing within you. And if Jay is truly part of the chapter that belongs ahead, you will not have to force the pages together. When the time is right, the story will unfold exactly as it needs to. Until then, chosen one, keep walking, keep believing, keep growing. Keep your heart open, but keep your spirit discerning. Keep your hope alive, but keep your identity rooted in God. And never forget that sometimes the person you thought was the destination was actually the beginning of a journey that led you much closer to who you were always meant to become. That is why you can release the fear. That is why you can breathe again. That is why you can stop chasing answers and start living. Whatever God has for you will not pass you by because you chose peace. Whatever belongs to you will not require you to abandon your dignity. Whatever is truly aligned with your purpose will eventually reveal itself through truth, consistency, and divine timing. So let today be the day you stop carrying the entire future on your shoulders. Give Jay back to God. Give the unanswered questions back to God. Give the timing back to God. Give the outcome back to God and take your life back. Walk into your purpose. Walk into your healing. Walk into your confidence. Walk into your peace. Because chosen one, you were never created merely to wait for someone else to choose you. You were created to live, to grow, to love, to become, and to fulfill the purpose God placed inside you. And whether Jay walks beside you in the next chapter, or whether their role was to prepare you for that chapter, you can trust that this journey has not been meaningless. You have changed. You have grown. You have learned. You have become stronger. And perhaps that was the miracle hidden inside the connection all along. So keep your faith, keep your peace, keep your heart wise, keep your eyes forward, and let God reveal the rest in His time. Chosen one, the story does not end with uncertainty. It moves beyond it. It moves toward clarity. It moves toward growth. It moves toward purpose. It moves toward the life you were created to live. And when you finally look back, you may realize that what you once called a coincidence was actually one of the moments that changed the direction of your life forever. Not because you forced it, not because you chased it, but because you surrendered it. And in that surrender, you discovered something greater than an answer about Jay. You discovered yourself. You discovered your strength. You discovered your faith. You discovered your worth. And you discovered that the God who guided you into this chapter is more than capable of guiding you through every chapter that comes after it. So breathe deeply, chosen one. Release what you cannot control. Hold tightly to what is true, and keep walking forward with the quiet confidence that your life is not happening by accident. There is purpose in your journey. There is meaning in your growth. There is wisdom in your waiting. And there is still more ahead than you can see right now. Chosen one, your chapter is not defined by who stayed, who left, who returned, or who remained silent. Your chapter is defined by who you became. And that person is still becoming. That person is still rising. That person is still healing. That person is still walking. And that person is you.